Okay, well, I had very little sleep today. That was due to the fact that my mom and I have been staying up a lot on the computer. I was supposed to meet with Scott at the welfare office. I know I can't spell tonight. Well, anyhow, I woke up late today, around 11 a.m. My phone went dead, so that was one of my sleeping in issues, and the other was I didn't go to bed till 5 a.m. My mom took me to the welfare office where I met with Scott. Lynetta talked to us about our WV works. She's going to have Scott do all the work requirements. She's having him come to the welfare office 4 days a week, then he'll work at the mission for 1 day out of that week. Only reason why I don't have to do any work requirements due to me be so far along with my pregnancy. Then we went to get Scott's bus pass. Then we went to the mission for Scott to fill out a volunteer form for the DHHR. Then we went to Walmart, and we got Juliana's baby bed, binkies, diapers, and wipes. I came home with the goal of cleaning my room, but due to being tired, I feel asleep for a good 4-hour nap. So, cleaning my room is not an option tonight. Tomorrow, yeah. Well, I'm gonna go take my bath. You wouldn't believe the crap that happened over where Scott's staying. Well, first off, let's introduce who all lives there: Patty, Woody, and Scott. The people who's staying there for a short time are Lori, Louie, Haley, and Shawneese. People who were there visiting other than myself were Dave, Jeff, Beanie, Chris, Barbara, Cliff, and Sean. Now here's what went down. When I first went over, everything was cool. No one was fighting about anything till later that evening. Woody had friends over, and they had been drinking all day. All it took was Louie to snatch Woody's cigarettes and hid them somewhere around the house. Mind you, Louie is just your normal 14-year-old boy, doing what teenagers normally do: practical jokes. Lori, Patty and Woody's daughter, didn't want her dad drinking anymore that night, so she had Louie snatch Woody's beer. Louie did just what his mother said. He brought the whole container upstairs. We all quickly grabbed the cans of beer and hid them from Woody. He didn't need any more that night. He still managed to get beer somehow that night. Well, as for the beer that Lori put Louie up to snatching, Lori drank it. We had cans of beer hidden pretty much in the obvious places, pretty much right in front of your nose. Woody still didn't see it. Hee. I just sat there like I didn't know what was going on, even though I did. Well, later on that night, everything no sooner came to a calm, more crap stirred up. This time Louie was on the computer browsing the internet, not bothering anyone at all. Well, Beanie, Patty's brother, came up for a little bit. He was hanging with Scott, Woody, Dave, Patty, and Lori. Lori got a bad headache and went to lay down in her mom's room. While she was laying down, Louie went to YouTube.com to watch funny videos. While he was on that site, a pop-up advertisement from RedTube.com kept popping up. Louie kept hitting the X button on the pop-up to close it out, and every time he'd close out of it, it continued to pop up, no matter how much he'd click on the X button. Well, Beanie went in the living room where Louie was on the computer at, and seen what was popping up and yelled at him for it. I did hear him yelling at Louie, but somewhere during that argument between Louie and Beanie slapped Louie across the face really hard and left a handprint on Louie's cheek. When all that went down, I was in Cat Daddy's room where Scott slept, watching TV. The door to Cat Daddy's room was open. I did hear all the yelling, and that's all I remember. Then I seen Lori come out of her mom's bedroom. Then I heard more yelling, only this time it was Lori yelling, and I do remember someone yelling, "Get out." Then I heard someone stomp down the stairs in angerment. Then Woody started yelling, probably about whoever it was that stomped down the stairs. Well, come to find out it was Beanie. Lori found out what happened and called him on the phone and told him how it was, and he threatened CPS on her because of them not having a place for a short period of time. Lori has an apartment, but it don't have enough rooms for her and her children, so her and the children stay at her mom's. And her fiancé, Sean, stays at their apartment, and he comes up to see her and her children, Louie, Haley, and Shawneese. Anyhow, Lori said to Beanie on the phone, "If you want to play like that, then I'll call the law." Lori did call the law, and the cops came arrested Beanie after talking to Lori and seeing Louie's face. Come to find out, after the cop came back up to talk to Lori and asked any of us had we seen what happened, He exclaimed that Beanie already had 1 or 2 counts of domestic violence on him from 2 weeks beforehand. Before the cop exclaimed what he said about Beanie having domestic violence charges, Scott stepped up and wrote what he had seen. Before Laurie called the law and told Beanie off on the phone, Louis was begging her not to, because he didn't want to tell on Beanie. By what it sounded like, either he was scared or just didn't want to start any more trouble, or he could have got threatened by Beanie in the past. After Scott wrote what he had seen, Jeff jumped down Scott's throat for it. I even spoke up, said Beanie had no right to hit Louis, regardless if Louis wouldn't listen or not. Beanie had no right to correct Louis in any way. That was Laurie's job. Beanie took it upon himself to correct Louis and slapped him when it wasn't his right, so Beanie deserves everything that happened to him. I really don't know why Louis was begging his mother not get the cops involved. Then, after that, we went to bed after Laurie called her fiancé Sean and explained everything about the situation and why the cops were involved. It was then when Shawnee admitted about getting slapped by Beanie. After that, Patty said it was lights out. Because she had enough of the drama, we all headed to bed after a long night. I couldn't sleep, nor could Scott, and Laurie and Haley were still up browsing the internet, and I went in and hung out with her till about 3 o'clock in the morning. The next morning we got up and hung out. Haley was playing music. We listened to Fireflies by Owl City, Party in the USA by Miley Cyrus. Then she listened to Replay by Ayaz. Those are the only songs that I remember hearing. Well, everything was okay, till Louis snatched beer for Laurie and cigarettes off of his grandpa Woody. Well, Woody let that go, because it was still early, and he was going out anyway, and he bought more cigarettes that day and more beer. Well, Patty went to go get her brother Beanie, because he got discharged from jail and needed a ride home. While she was out, I went downstairs and talked to Laurie. She was confussed and wondering if she had done the right thing, I told her. If it was me, and they were my kids, I would have done the same thing, relation or not. Well, Woody got his beer and cigarettes, and go figure. Louis did the same thing again that he did the night before. Well, this time Woody had enough, and he went berserk on Louis and Laurie. Also being the fact he had too much to drink. He was yelling, saying the house was his, and he was in charge of who stayed where. Haley spoke up and said, "No, it's not. The house belongs to Gary Chip's cat daddy." Well, Laurie got mad at how Woody was acting, and she and Shawnees went to her apartment. Louis and Haley chose to stay with Grandma, Patty. Scott and I were headed down to Laurie's and asked Patty to leave the door unlocked for us to get back in. Woody yelled at Chris and told him to get lost. Chris didn't do anything, and Patty stood up for him. And as she was making the couch bed for Louis, Woody kept yelling and nagging at Patty, and Patty told him how it was. Scott and I stood behind while Woody yelled at Patty to make sure that Woody didn't hit Patty out of anger. Well, Patty finally got Woody to go downstairs. Scott and I went out the back door to head to Laurie's apartment, which was only a block away, if that. Well, as we were headed down, Chris was coming back up because Sean was sleeping. So we went back up the stairs and through the back door. Patty was still up, and she was getting ready to head to bed. We asked her if Chris could come in. She nodded her head. Yeah, and Chris went in Scott's room with us till Woody fell asleep. Before Woody started being a mean drunk, Scott, Louie, and I walked to the Compaq in Eastview because Scott needed cigarettes and I wanted pop and ice, crushed ice, that is. Before we headed out, Scott fell down the stairs and messed his thumb up and possibly messed his shoulder up. Anyhow, after we got back, Scott and I hung out with Patty, Louie, Haley, Shawnees, Laurie, Chris, and Sean. We was all playing around and joking and having a good time. Then Woody started about his cigarettes being stolen and beer missing. He pointed at everyone, calling us all thieves. I stood up to him when he said Scott was a thief because Scott had a cigarette that I came out of the pack of cigarettes that I had just bought. He didn't say no more after that. Woody assumed that Laurie stole his cigarettes because she was smoking one of Scott's cigarettes, and she said, "This cigarette came from Scott, Dad." Then we all went to bed. Then today, Barbara, Sean, Scott, and I discovered where Woody's source of beer was coming from. Dave, one of Woody's buddies. Patty said, "That's it. I'm not sticking around any longer. I'm tired of all the drinking. All this stress is gonna throw me through a stroke. Then she asked me if I was ready to be taken home, and I said, yeah, whenever you are. Well, Patty brought me home, and I'm glad to be home from a long weekend now. I start college today because Christmas break is over. Well, I got to go. Talk to you later. Till next time. I wish January would hurry up and fly by. Here is why I wish January would fly by. Due to the fact Scott and I will have our place. Juliana will be here next month. I can't wait. I have only 4 weeks left till my due date. Scott is in surgery for his shunt today as we speak. I hope he does good with his shunt surgery. Angie is supposed to call me when he gets out. I haven't had hardly any sleep today due to being worried about his shunt surgery. I can't wait till his surgery is done and over with. Isabella got to spend time with her Aunt Angie and her daddy and the rest of their family yesterday. I told Angie that I was going to stay behind due to being pregnant and the fact that I don't need the stress and waiting and wondering. Scott will be in ICU when he gets out of surgery, so probably Thursday or Friday, I'll be able to go up and see him. I'm not going to take Isabella up there. She doesn't need to be in a hospital where diseases linger. My mom started back to work, and she has off tomorrow. So we are going to go look at the house that Scott and I are supposed to be getting. It's a little greenhouse with a big porch and halfway decent-sized backyard, with a storage building in the yard and a garage. We got on HUD, and whatever house we get into, we have to live there for a year. Then we can move after that. Scott is doing better. He's having some complications with his short-term memory. I got to talk to him twice today. The first time he couldn't remember if he had eaten breakfast, and the second time he said he was eating lunch from Burger King. I just went along with it, due to the fact I don't know if he really was or not. By what Angie said, he was on a strict diet by the doctors. He's going to have an MRI done either tonight or tomorrow to find out if his short-term memory loss is permanent or temporary. They think either they damaged the short-term memory gland when they were in surgery, or it could be irritated and swelled from the pulling and removing of the tube and shunt. I pray that his short-term memory is just temporary. Scott's doing a lot. He's talking more, carrying conversations better. He's sitting up and he remembers more than what he was remembering. He had an MRI done today. Now we're waiting for the updates on that. Today he talked to Isabella on the phone. Scott's older sister, Jamie, texted me and told me that Scott's wanting me to come up and see, and she said that Scott has been talking non-stop about me. Gotta be up at 5:30 a.m. I have to have C-section for baby number 2 to arrive. I'm a little nervous, excited, and scared all at the same time. I did a major clean job today. First off, my bestie Ashley came up and she and I hung out. Then I decided to clean the upstairs, mainly my room. So I took everything out of my room. Well, most everything, for that matter. Then I vacuumed the room and put things in there neatly. Then I vacuumed Juliana's room. After that, my mom took Ashley home. Then I laid Izzy down for the night. She was being a little turd and a half. She was being downright mean to the dogs, and that was making me mad. So I made her pick up her toys. Okay. All I have to say, I feel a lot better than what I've been feeling. My butthole is sore, and that's because I'm very constipated, and the only reason why I'm still constipated is because I'm having to take iron pills till my iron level comes back up. Oh, dread that time of the month. But that's life, so you gotta deal with it. Okay, the inside story of what it's like for a scheduled C-section. I went to the hospital on Monday, February 22nd, 2010, like Dr. King instructed me to do. 3 days before that, I went and had blood drawn. But anyway, I went to outpatient surgery and got registered with them, then waited my turn to go for surgery. Before I went back, I had to run to the bathroom, so I went to use the bathroom. I had to wait, because there was a lady in there already, and she said there was no toilet paper. So I went and told the front desk of the emergency room, and they sent me on back to use the bathroom back there. So I went back there. The toilet was completely disgusting. So I grabbed a handful of toilet paper and went back to the lobby of the emergency room and used the bathroom there, and then went back to outpatient surgery. When I arrived at outpatient surgery, I was waiting in line to get registered, and Angie's man, John, and his daughter brought Scott there. I was so happy to see him. John and his daughter told me good luck and left. Scott continued waiting in line with my mom as well. The line finally moved to where it was us next, and I signed my forms that needed to be signed. Then the lady put a bracelet on my wrist, and 3 of us went to sit in the lobby. About 5 or 10 minutes later, a nurse called me. She got my information, checked my vitals, and ran my IV along with fluids. Then they had the anesthesiologist, Tom Walker, come in and talk to me. He explained what was going on, and he said that I would be given a spinal tap as soon as I got into OR. Well, on the way out, I took another bathroom break, and they picked me up with the bed they was wheeling me to OR with. The nurse said we were going to take the scenic route. We went basically in a circle back around to through hospital and into the OR all that little bit. And after the anesthesiologist came in, my dad finally showed up. And we all talked for a little before it was time to go back. Then my mom and dad got to walk back so far, and they had to head to the waiting room. Scott went into the OR with me. When they got me into the pre-op, they had Scott's suite up. All the nurses gathered around me and was talking me and congratulating me on my birth, which was soon to happen. I was getting excited. Then they wheeled me back to the operating room and got me up on the table, and I sat there till the anesthesiologist came to do my spinal tap. Basically a shot that gets put into between you vertebrae and nerves, or something close to that matter. Anyhow, he talked to me while he was preparing the, quote, anesthesia, unquote, and then I felt cold stuff being put on my back 2 to 3 times. Then I felt his thumb, which told me that was his them. Then I felt a small pinch, which was the numbing before the spinal, so I bent over instantly like would have me do, and he said, "Wow, you know what to do?" I said, "Yeah." I still didn't forget about the epidural with my first child, and he remembered doing my epidural 2 years ago when my daughter Isabella was born. Then after he did the spinal, I was to feel the numbing almost instantly. Wow. So they laid me on the table and both my arms out tied down. Then they backed to prep me for surgery. Then they put the blue sheet up in front of my face so I couldn't see the surgery happening. I remember looking over on the table and seeing all kinds of funky-looking instruments, but I paid no attention to them because I didn't need to scare myself. So Scott finally got to come in. But before they put the blue sheet up, anesthesiologist Tom Walker asked if I could feel anything. He was shocking me with a tiny instrument, and that was to make sure that I was being numbed in the right area. Yep, I was number from my stomach down. Couldn't feel a thing. I do remember talking a lot. I know Dr. King had to have a headache from me talking so much. LOL. I then began to talk to Scott a little bit, and one of the nurses looked over the blue sheet and then looked at me and said, "She's almost here." Then shortly after she said that, I heard Juliana scream and cry for the first time. That really made me happy to know that God stood by side and blessed me with 2 beautiful, healthy baby girls, Isabella, my older daughter, and now Juliana. They took pictures of her as I was Scott, and I held her. Scott got to clip her umbilical cord, just like he did for Isabella. I'm very happy and blessed. Then Scott left with Juliana, and they went up to the nursery on the 5th floor, and so did the nurse who announced she's almost here. Shortly after they left, I began to feel a little bit of pressure, which was Dr. King stitching me back up and stapling me up. Then I heard a suction being done. I guess they was cleaning me out after the birth of Juliana. Then I felt a gush of wind blow the sheet in front of my face. I don't know what that was, but it felt good because I was hot as can be. Shortly after that, the nurse who announced she's almost here came back and told me she was 6 pounds 12 ounces. I was completely shocked. My second baby girl outweighed my first, and I barely gained any weight, and my appetite wasn't at all, meaning 6% of all the weight gained by me went to Juliana. Then after the nurse said that, Dr. King was done and left the room. Then they began to clean everything up. And then, before I knew it, it was time to head to recovery. I laid in recovery for a good 3 hours, napping on and off. When I did wake up, I got bored and took pictures of myself. I looked like I had been smoking weed for 5 hours straight. I know, pretty bad, huh? Then shortly after I was able to move my legs, I was ready to go to my room and see my baby girl. My best friend, Mary Ellen, was waiting for me up there with my mom and dad, and Scott. I did take lots of pictures for you all to see. I'm not sure where to start out at. I guess from the last update on here, my life was good. Up till now, my life is stressful, but still good. I'm going to church whenever I can find the ride. Got God in my heart. Both girls attend church with me and Scott. By the way, Isabella is now living with us. Praise the Lord. I'm so happy that my girls are finally living with us. Now we're a family. We were a family then, but not as close, because Isabella for a while there wasn't living with us. She was living with my mom. My husband had back surgery. He's no longer humped over. His back is straight. Amazing, right? Well, that's the best thing out of this surgery. Besides, he'll no longer have trouble breathing. On the contrary, he's now paralyzed from the waist down. Yeah, he was in rehab, and he stayed in for 7 days, then signed himself out like an idiot. Now Scott is here at the house. I have to play the role of a wife, mother, and CNA. I honestly hate the CNA part. I wish I had my husband back like he was. I miss him being able to walk. Then I was able to cuddle with him. See, he can't control his bladder, or bowels for that matter. Other than that, Isabella got to go on her first food drive. She loved it. Though she rode the fire truck, she was a little scared. Then she went to Abundant Life Church and played all kinds of games and won all kinds of prizes, then went on a hayride. I have pictures of it on my MySpace. Isabella will be 3 in December, Juliana will be 1 in February. Wow. Where has time gone? Well, other than that, I'm attend Everest College online for criminal justice. So wish me luck on that. And I'm gonna have to say, I can't believe I'm 23 years old. In fact, me and my husband are. Awesome. My has been so. I have been going to church and try and get the house straightened up. I got Isabella her room done. Finally, she has her own room. I can't wait till things get organized the way things need to be. I'm going to be working on the kitchen, dining room, and living room. Juliana's room is done. Yeah. I'm over at my friend's house, and I'm going to check my Facebook and play all my apps. Then I'm going to take pics with Ashley. Okay. All in all, it's that time of year when I get very depressed like I am now. I thought leaving Scott, then I think about good things. I look at the children and think, hey, they need a father who will take care of them. Well, a buddy of ours likes me, and he has been flirting with me for some time now. I think he's flirted with me before. But I didn't notice is as bad. Plus, I didn't have feelings for him either. I looked at him like another dumbass brother, because him and his siblings grew up with me. So we come to love and respect one another like a brother and sister. We had been separated, him and his siblings and myself, for a long time. Well, we got reunited when new neighbors moved in up the road from my mom's. They came down to meet the neighbors living around the neighborhood. My mom looked the girl's boyfriend and told him to come here. He said, "Am in trouble?" My mom said, "No." So he went up to my mom and she said, "I know you from somewhere. I know your sisters, Deb and Melissa. I also know John and Angie and Jean. Which one of the boys are you?" He said, "Jean." Then she took him to my dad and said, "Jody, do you remember him?" "Why, yeah, that Alfie Eugene Jones, a.k.a. Gene." Jody came outside and began to talk to the man of the house, Jim. I introduced myself to Tasha and her mother, Alma. That she was saying her name was Elmo at first, till she spelled A-L-M-A. I said, "Oh, cool name." Gene asked how my mom knew them, because he could remember vaguely. He was so young. When my mom took care of Deb, so imaginative how I came reunited with someone who I was close to. Deb. Think about it. Anywho, I'm happy for Deb and Melissa. They are married, settled down in their own places with their children. After we got reunited with Jean, I had went to school with Deb and Melissa, prior to reuniting with Jean again. Well, all in all, Jean has liked me for a long time. He told me himself at the Glen Falls Park. When he was with his ex, Tasha, he told me that he liked me. Well, Now I'm married with Scott, and Jean has been flirting with me for quite a while now. Let me say one thing. He has my attention. His family is wanting he and I to hook up. I'm waiting for the right moment before I tell Scott goodbye. Well, all in all, I'm with Scott and have been for 6 years. For now, I plan to stay with him. He has made a few mistakes, smacking the 7-month-old baby, Juliana, and slapping Isabella, but after further research and questioning, I was told by Jean that he did, and Jean at first didn't think it was an accident. Now, Jean is staring to believe it was. Jean and I talked about that situation, and we confirmed it was an accident. Now for Juliana, no, that wasn't an accident. When Scott smacked me when we live at Oakmount Apartments, I slapped the crap right out of him. He was drunk, so I could overlook that situation. Scott quit drinking and smoking. I quit drinking after I screwed my knee up. My mom wants me and Jean to be a couple. I wouldn't mind that if I wasn't married, and I knew for sure that's what he wanted. He was with a girl who cheated on him, played his heart for drugs and alcohol, and used him for sex. Her name was Autumn. I don't have a problem with her because that's her business. If she wants to talk to me, that's fine. She wants to hang out, I would love to. She and I used to be best of friends, get in trouble together, just have a good old time. Well, all in all, if Scott and I would divorce, which I'm waiting on the right moment, and Jean wants to hook up, huh? Just come on over, flirt in the ask. Plain Jane asked me to be your girl. I'll gladly go with Jean. I thought Jean was a disgusting goon, but him flirting with me is starting to make me like him more and more the more he flirts, the more I like him. The man beside me is my husband, but not for long. He claims he loves me, but I don't doubt it. But I do doubt that he loves the girls, because he hits and the girls and screams at them for stupid things. So CPS got called because of my messy house, which is in the process of being cleaned. I can't wait till I get it cleaned. As for my husband, they are calling Adult Protective Service, otherwise known as APS. Well, they are looking into getting him removed from the premises. Then my girls won't have to live in fear. Well, I got the papers for divorce. That husband of mine finds ways to manipulate me out of it. Once he's out of the house, he's out of my life. I did love him dearly with my heart, but since he slapped my younger daughter Juliana, my love for him went down the drain. As for the Jean situation, he's either trying to get my husband and me apart for the better, or he likes, but he's scared to tell me for sure. His family keeps telling me he has the hots for me, and he keeps checking my hind end out. Both my girls are sick at the moment. I got go, tend to them. Hey all, my title says, I'm a beaten down girl. Let me tell you I'm ready to fight. Here is why I put that. I have had people starting crap with me and my mom. To a point I see why. Well, why they started on me. I don't know. Let me tell you what I did. I went the legal route. I called the law. Because the person was making cyber threats. If they step foot in this area, and they run a red light, or stop sign, or get stopped for a random check by policemen, and when they run their ID/driver's license and see they have warrant for their arrest, they will go to jail because they have crossed the state border. They live in Ohio. It's a family member, that's all I'm saying. It just seems funny. My sister-in-law goes to Ohio for a wedding and leaves her brother here. I told him a long time ago she wasn't gonna take him. Sorry to say that's not a good sister in my book. That's just me. Personally, if I were his sister, I would drive 10 minutes out of my way to get my brother, especially if I were going to see our dad. That's what I would do. Well, I also think she don't want Scott to see his dad, should I say their dad. Now on top of it all, I have been pregnancy symptom left and right. Yesterday I felt something move in my stomach, kind of like when you get butterflies in your stomach when you drive over a small really fast, aka a wee bump. I have the following since August or possible October. I'm not sure between those 2 months. I have been having mixed emotions, morning sickness, craving strange foods like SpaghettiOs, pickles and cheese, barbecued chips with cream cheese, cornbread, milk and sugar warmed, and sweets. Then I started hearing heart's beats. I have been wont to clean constantly. though my friend said I started that sometime after my second child was born. My sugar drops real low or my iron gets to low. There are days when I don't feel good. There are days when I'm up all night cleaning. There are days when I go to sleep at 4 a.m. and up at 7 a.m. by myself. My butt is getting bigger, and so is my stomach. I had lost my boobs almost. I have been getting headaches and dizzy spells. Now please tell me what you think, considering I still have a period. I took one pregnancy test, it came back negative, but I still keep having these symptoms. When I was pregnant with my oldest, I had all symptoms of pregnancy, including no period. With my second, I had all but had period for 3 months. First trimester. So tell me what you think it could be. What should I do? I'm gonna go eat. So dazed and confused. I have all kinds of friends who lie to my face. I have a sister-in-law who is jealous of me for whatever reason. My own mother won't tell me about my birth family. She keeps lying. I ask her the same questions, and I catch her up in a lie every time. I'm thinking about seeing if Steve Wilkos would help me, but I don't think he would. On top of all that, I have a hint that my husband's best friend has the hots for me. I would be surprised. That's the case. Because he flirts with me on the phone and through text messaging. It's just screwed up who he is. I've known him for a while. Screwed up, huh? I still want to know who my birth parents, that's all. Well, I got to go. Till next time. God bless. Well, I'm blogging today with some updates and sad and bad news. My husband and I are getting divorced, and that's because he abused my girls. With him abusing Isabella, I didn't see it happen, but Isabella has told my mom, and my mom told me about it. I personally seen him slap my baby girl, and this time he dropped her. Should I say, thrown her to the ground? I wasn't as worried about that, but when I seen the red mark, I knew I had to do something about it right then and there. I called my mom when I went outside after laying Juliana down for the night. When I called Mom to come down, she went in Juliana's room and looked at her face and gasped at the red mark on the right-hand side of her face. So my mom called CPS the following day, and they came out that day. Wow! When the CPS worker came out, she said they wanted the girls away from him, meaning he was to move out. Well, the following day, Scott wound up have 2 seizures, and throwing up green, watery liquid he shunt was acting up. So I called Darlene and they said not to worry about it. Apparently they didn't realize how bad he really was. So I did go with him to the hospital. UHC transported him by ambulance to Ruby Memorial Hospital where his shunt was replaced at. He did CT scan, MRI, and following his shunt got adjusted back to what it was. It was at 2.5 when it needed to be a 1. I got to watch how they did X-ray from behind the scenes, and how they adjusted the shunt. Interesting, right? Well, Scott came home from Ruby 2 days later, and Angie came out and got him for the night and took him to a birthday party. I think in my own opinion that I may spazzed about it when he threw her to the ground. Well, I got to thinking he may have accidentally dropped her, but the red mark on her face was no accident. So things got worse, people calling my phone. Then a county sheriff got sent out. Scott was acting strange, so I knew something was up. I almost had a nervous breakdown because I was so upset. I know none of his family care about him except his twin sister Angie. She has been there through thick and thin with him, and I have too. But Scott and Angie and myself agreed that this would be for the better, because he did hurt Juliana. I don't my girls to live the life that he and sister lived. That was sad. My girls don't need that. They need love. Though Scott will always be their dad, regardless. And yes, I will let my girls know that Scott is their dad, and the reason why we divorced, and they were young when that happened. So on and so on. Well now, I don't have to worry about not being able to spend time with my friends, near where I live in Doddridge County. Well, I'm gonna wish me luck. I have a lot to do get done on Monday. Well, yesterday after I got home, Scott's sister called twice, but I didn't answer. I'm glad I didn't because I didn't want him coming back. My girls were with me last night while he was at the hospital. His sister said that he was dying internally, and his shunt was malfunctioning. Well, I know that's a lie because if that was the case, the hospital would have told half to me because I'm his wife. till further notice. They would have told me then. That's how I know it was a lie. She has been getting caught up in so many lies, and Scott is the main culprit. I went and had my number changed, so for Scott's side, don't bother me. He's off my lease. He has no WV works or food stamps. He is not allowed on my property. He isn't allowed around the girls. CPS said they wanted him out. Well, I went to HUD and had him taken off my lease as of today. If you're not Scott's side, then you have nothing to worry about. He's lucky I didn't get a domestic violence warrant on him, because he did try to hit me the other night. Have been feeling threatened that last so many times I had to stay there. Last night I had my girls there, and I made sure everything was done right. Doors were locked, didn't answer my phone, put my phone on airplane mode. Turning lights off when I left a room. Well, that's done. And today I'm probably going to bring his belongings up to my mom's. My cell phone number has been changed.